Hey everyone, Maury Curtis Dunbar here with Painted Studio. Welcome back. It is our last live of 2020, ready to kick this year to the door. I know everybody else is as well, but we're going to close it out doing fun things, staying positive, and enjoying, the creative time that we have here. So today we're going to unmold a few items. I told you yesterday, if you were watching, hey Sue, nice to see you here. If you were watching yesterday, you might have seen that I had poured some molds like this one. And today we're going to do some of the uncasting of it or unmolding of it. And I just wanted to share with you the processes that I go through when I pull something out of a mold so that you understand that these things don't come out perfectly every time, but we get them there. And then we're going to work on bejeweling our jeweled cast resin deer skull that we were working on yesterday for my client. And then I think I'll just call it, well, things are falling over in the back. All right, so let me go grab, of course, I forgot a few things. What else is new? I can never start a live and have everything right here in front of me because as soon as I sit down and hit the camera, I remember all the things I forgot. So let me go grab a couple things over here. This will just take a second. I need that. I might need that. I know I need those. So to do unmolding, I usually need an X-Acto knife. I need sandpaper, a nail file, something like that, and I need a scissor. Okay, now I don't know what I'm going to need on any of those. I'm going to save the biggest ones for last because the littler ones are easy, and I actually poured these fairly clean, so I may not have a whole lot of cleaning up to do. All right, I'm going to flip the camera down. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Hey, Jenny, nice to see you. Rima, I love seeing you here. All right, so let's flip this down. So in front of me, let's see, get that down just maybe a hint more. Now, I'm short of light today, so be patient. I'm trying to make this as bright and clear as possible, but one of my lights is on the charger at the moment. Okay, so this is actually what I use when I have leftover epoxy. I take these little molds that I've gotten over the years. These are silicone. I spray them. Hey, Desiree. I spray them with a little standard mold release. You can just get it anywhere. Let me go grab my can so you can see the kind I use. Doesn't really matter. I got this on Amazon, I think. It's called Smooth On Universal Mold Release. And it's just a spray can. And so when you get a mold, whenever I get a new mold, the first thing I want to do is wash it so I get out any dust or tooling bits out of there. And then once it's completely dry and I'm ready to use it, I give it a spray of this and go shh. And it basically is almost like a silicone coating. Probably is mostly silicone. And it doesn't interfere with how this stuff hardens, but it allows it to pop out of the molds like this, like an ice cube. See, one just fell out like that. Now these are little faces, but they're not going to be easy to read as faces because I cast them in a lot of glitter, but I just wanted to play with this mold to see how the epoxy came out. Because some molds, the epoxy comes out crystal clear and smooth. Some molds, the epoxy comes out a little hazy, and it's due to the texture inside the molds. Now these came out fairly clear, but if you look at them on the sides, you can see that it's not shiny clear, like glass crystal clear. So they come out well, but not perfect. This one, I know I use it all the time. This one comes out really, really nicely. So this, if you look in here, you can see their faces right there and in here. But again, these come out and I can't see the faces, so I usually take something like a little makeup brush like this and a little metal powder or mica or something along those lines. All right, so this is Faux Design Studios Lavish Copper Mica Powder. If you like this mica powder, we don't have it in stock, but we can easily get it for you. I take my little makeup brush, and I use makeup brushes because the bristles are soft, and we're going to do a technique. It's called flash gilding, but you might also think of it as rouging, meaning you're going to take your product and you're going to rub it in a circle like this, like you put maybe a blush on your cheek. And I like to do this when they first come out of the mold because the epoxy hasn't completely cured, so I don't really need adhesive on here. It wants to grab on its own. But if I waited longer, I'd probably need a little adhesive on this. Sometimes I need adhesive, sometimes I don't. So I'm just taking my copper mica powder and rubbing it on the faces so you can actually see the facial features. Let me hold one up that I didn't do that on, and I'll hold one up that I did. So if you look here, let's see if I can get that good light on there. You can see this one I put the copper on, you can see the facial features. This one that I didn't, you can't. But I don't lose the pretty glitter on there either. So let me come zoom in a little bit better so you can see better what I'm doing. Okay, good. We got a nice zoom in. I'm just centering things on the screen so you can see. So there's a face in here, and you clearly, even I can't see it. I'm looking at it in person. I can get the profile, but I can't see the details. So I take the copper mica powder and I just come in here and it grabs onto new epoxy because this isn't cured. So there's just still a slight softness, a slight stickiness to it. That if I had waited 72 hours, I would have to put an adhesive on here. But see, now you can see that face. See how nicely that pops that face where you couldn't see it before? And so we got to do these all right now while this is still fresh and grabbing on here, because in 72 hours it's a full cure and it won't have that little bit of tackiness to it. So I'm taking advantage of the properties of the material as much as I humanly can. Save myself a little effort, a little work, a little product too. Okay. And we are open for business, so I may have to hang up with you guys, but I think that's my mail carrier. Hey there.
Easy question.
Yes.
I've got a ceramic statue. You all paint those?
We can.
Do you?
Yeah, we have materials that will work on that.
Okay, and
Sure.
then I don't know if you have a place to, after you paint a ceramic one, are you supposed to heat it or anything, or do you just?
No, that's a glazing technique. If we were glazing it, then it would be fired. If we're painting it, then we just need to seal it up.
Okay, okay. If it's a statue of W.C. Fields,
Okay,
but it's just a white ceramic one.
okay.
And
And you want it to look more realistic?
yes,
Okay, well, I'd have to take a look at it.
yes,
I
yes,
can't-
I understand.
Unfortunately,
No,
I
no,
can't price it out.
No, but is it something that just should be painted and sealed, or should it be glazed?
If it's plain white, I would just paint it.
Okay,
Because you'll probably get better detail in it. When you glaze things, the glaze is actually liquefied
Okay.
glass particles,
okay,
and they can soften and spread a little.
okay, okay. Someday I'll bring it by and you can
Sure.
take a look at it and decide what it would cost.
Sure, thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey everybody, thanks for sticking with me. Obviously, I was talking with a customer. He was asking about painting a bust he had of W.C. Fields. And his answer was, can you paint that? And my answer was, of course. Now, how he wants it painted, we're gonna have to work on. But I know he wants it to look more realistic, and the answer is yes, I can do that. So we'll see how that goes, whether or not that comes in. He wasn't looking to do it today. He was just asking if it could be done, and I get a lot of that. And as you know, the answer is generally, yes, I can do just about anything. So thank you for your patience while I was talking with the client. Appreciate that. All right, so I've flash gilded all of those, because that's what that's called when you apply a rouging coat of mica powder. So now we're gonna keep going here, and I'm gonna zoom back out a little bit because you don't need a close-up on my knuckles as I try to open this one. Now this is probably one of the tougher molds. This is a set of skulls. And so you pour the epoxy into the bottom half, then set the insert on top of it and continue pouring through these holes. And it's a pain in the neck, and these will probably need more cleanup than any of the others. Because as you can see, the epoxy likes to seep. See that little bit of plasticky stuff there? That's epoxy. All right, let's work on getting them apart. And I did spray these molds. It's just that I'm also fighting the epoxy that spilled everywhere or seeped out. There we go. And that's the back end of them. Okay, and they just come right on out. And these molds are silicone, so all you do is pop them right back out. And then I can pop out all this crud that's sitting on the top that wasn't supposed to be in here anyway. And then I got this mold, I think, off of Amazon. I don't think this is one of the ones I got out of Etsy. All the little extra bits and pieces off, and then I can pop the faces out. So there's our first skull. And you can see it's a whole skull. And in the back, you'll see the little hole from where I was pouring. Now, when I pour the resin, understand, when I pour this in, it was poured all the way to the top of these holes. It didn't necessarily shrink, but bubbles came up in the curing. So you kind of got a little bit less, they all have a little hole in the back. So if I was really unhappy with that, before I unmolded them, I would have poured a little more epoxy into the back and let it cure up a little longer so that I didn't have that hole. Personally, I don't care. Doesn't make any difference. These are our St. Patrick's Day skulls. They're obviously full of green glitter, but look how cool that is. So now I have to clean those edges up. So when I have really big pieces like this sitting on the edge, the first thing I do is I go in with my scissors and I trim it up. And I keep a sharpener in the studio just specifically for these kinds of scissors because trimming epoxy dulls your blades. And then there's still a little seam there that will have to be trimmed. And it's better to do this before it's cured hard. Now, I know it's going to freak everybody out seeing me pull the knife towards me. So if you're knife phobic, don't watch this part. I do this like, you know, wood whittlers. I just take it and shave it down. I will tell you the only really bad, and I'm knocking wood, so knock on my head. The only really bad X-Acto knife cut I have had was when I was actually cutting away from my hand and my hand slipped and I cut right from here through my nail through the tip of my finger. Yeah, was a fun one. And that was in college. So obviously I've learned to be a little more careful with knives since then. Okay. And I'll do this on all of these. I don't think you want to sit here and watch me clean up all of the skulls, but I'll do this on all of these. These usually I have a little cleanup to do on, but because I poured so carefully on them, there's very little cleanup to do with that. All right, so let me move this trash out of the way, over to the side. I'll just keep pushing some of these things over to the side. Now we're going to unmold our Green Man mold. Now, I think you've only seen this once before because I've only used this once. This came in just before Christmas. Yeah, Maddie, ouch, that hurt a lot. Now this is you can see this is a very deep mold because this can be used for soap, it can be used for epoxy, it can be used for candy. This is a food grade mold, so I didn't need to pour it that thick for what I was doing, but if I wanted to, I could. So I'm popping it out, and this is Green Man. This is that wonderful wood guy showing up out of nowhere kind of face. Now again, he's got a lot of detail in here, so I don't want to lose all that detail to the glitter. I'm going to come back. I'm going to cast the. Going to put a little goodness on here, a little coppery facing, so we can get some more details of his face showing. I love this mold. Now, what I did before Christmas, I had poured a color on before I poured any glitter behind it, so his face showed very clearly. When you make these glittery molds, these glittering castings, you have to watch it because the glitter will detract from the detail. So you want to make sure you consider that when you pour, or consider what you're going to do with it after so you can see the details. And you can use both liquid glass and art resin to do castings like this. They work very, very well. Okay, so there is Green Man, who's not necessarily green today. Look how pretty that is with the copper on there. I have been asked to do a tray with real cookies from, I'm going to have to look that up and see. I'm reading, Maddie, I will look up and answer your question in a minute. I'm looking at it on an angle, so I can't read all the words clearly. Let me unmold this last item, and then once we've gotten that one done, I'll come up and look at what you're saying. Okay, this is the last one. This is the first time I've poured this mold. I washed it. Then I sprayed it with mold release spray. I have no idea how this is going to come out because this is a brand new mold to me. And sometimes the first casting on a new mold does not come out as well as you'd hope. All right, let's peel this back. Best part of silicone molds is you can do that. Oh, this is actually pretty cool. Centerpiece out. Oh, I love this. Okay, so this is a skull, and it's a carved, highly detailed skull, and I didn't know this when I ordered the mold. I did not see that in the picture. It's a candle holder, or you could put, tea lights or something else in there, but it can be used as a candle holder. So because this came out and I can barely see the face details, the first thing I want to do, you can see how pretty and glossy it dried on this side. So I'm just going to come down here, clean up these edges with some sandpaper or a nail file. And I do like nail files for these little jobs, and I like nail files on pieces of furniture for odd spots because they're little and they're rigid and they can get into good places that I can't always get into as easily with my fingers and some sandpaper. Okay, so I just want to clean that edge up so I can set it down and not have it wobble. All right, so I'm going to take a little copper here. Now the glitter I used, you can still see the glitter in here, but because the mold is not a super slick one, it didn't come out shiny. It came out a little frosty, which in itself, very, very cool. I'm going to take a little of this, and I'm going to come in here. I might zoom this in because it's a good face to see what I wanted to do. Come on. There we go. I can zoom in on that face now if I can just remember not to move my hands off screen. We're going to come in and we're going to highlight. Might want a little bigger brush for this, I think. That one does, that one's a little too small for what I'm doing. And I have a friend who's a makeup artist, and I've gone to shows with her, so I get my makeup brushes very inexpensively at trade shows. But you can buy really inexpensive makeup brush sets. And that's what I use for these because I'm working on surfaces that aren't going to always be kind to a brush, so I'm not going to invest a ton of money on making expensive flash gilding brushes that I don't need. Makeup brushes are perfect for this. Little bits of, this has a little bit of a a lot of very detailed edging. So that little bits of tinsel glitter, which is long, can sometimes stick out of the very edges, and I got to go through and make sure I trim them down. And I'm off the screen again, sorry. Move it to there. I should put a piece of tape as my mark right there so that this needs to be there. If it's not there, you guys can't see it. All right. So I'm marking up my table like I'm some sort of screen director. So here's this. We're going to come up in here and do this part. And this is really coming out cool. I had no idea when I poured this what I was going to see when I removed it from the mold. And I got to tell you, I'm really pleased with this. This might end up being a gift for my son for his birthday. He's got a birthday in a little over 3 weeks, turns 25, and he has been a skull Halloween junkie kind of kid since he was a toddler. I mean, his favorite movie at 2 years old was Nightmare Before Christmas. He couldn't watch Fraggles. Fraggles freaked him out, but he loved, Jack Skellington and Sally and all of that stuff. He's definitely my kid. I mean, I don't like clowns, but I sure do love skeletons and stuff. I think this is cool. Oh, I like how this is coming out. Look how cool this is. Oh my gosh, this is coming out so cool with this mica powder on here. We'll move on to bejeweling the skulls and the antelope skulls. It's like we're moving back to Halloween today in a minute, but I got to get all this mica powder on this one thing so that it dries properly, and we'll put a candle in it and I'll zoom back and you can see what I'm talking about. Although I think a plumber's candle, which is a wider base candle, would fit in this better. I wasn't sure how big the opening was going to be. You know, you see this in reverse. See, this is how I look at the skull. And I'm like, well, I don't know if the epoxy is going to compress that a little bit. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work. And it looks almost the size of a regular taper candle. Then you pull it out and you out of the mold, and you realize it might be a little bigger. This skull is so cool. I gave my son a lot of practical gifts for Christmas. Things for his kitchen, a new winter coat, a couple pairs, a pair of jeans, some stuff like that. So his birthday this year is going to be all the fun stuff. How do I keep the powder on it? Here's the deal, Tony. I was just explaining this. I just pulled this out of the mold. Epoxy requires 72 hours for a full cure. I poured these yesterday, so at most there's a 24-hour cure on here, which means the epoxy is still a little soft, and when you pull it out of the mold, it'll feel a little on the cool side, even possibly a little tacky. Not even tacky, it's just there's a difference of feeling. It hasn't quite cured. And because of that, it will grab the mica powder perfectly. Now, I will probably, for something like this, it's probably going to get a lot of wear. I will come back once this in a little while, and I'll put a quick spray of crystal clear Krylon on there to ensure that the mica powder does not rub off. Because this is acrylic resin epoxy, and I'll spray an acrylic top coat over it. I'm putting acrylic on acrylic so it'll bind perfectly. But really, I put nothing on here to make it stick. You saw I pulled it out of the mold. I took my makeup brush with the mica powder and just buffed it on here to highlight all the details. All right, I'm going to flip this up. Well, first I'm going to zoom it out. Sure, I'm going to zoom it out. Every time I try to zoom it out, I close the camera. So here's the opening. Candle goes right in there. Let's flip that up a little bit. See? It's a candle holder. Now you could, if you had small vases, you could put a little vase in here, make this a floral arrangement. But I mean, that's really cool. I love that. Oh, I'm so excited by that. Okay, so we're gonna push this over. I wanna flip the camera up for a minute and come back. I was able to read Tony's question, but I wasn't able to read Maddie's very well. Don't close the window. I'm just trying to... Great, now I got you looking at my ceiling. I am talented with this camera. Okay, so let me come back and read Maddie's question. Okay. Okay, Maddie, your question is longer than the app will let me click on it to read the whole question. You've been asked to do a tray with real cookies from a girl's engagement party, special cookie. You've done trays before. Now, I'm assuming you're asking if you can pour epoxy over the cookies. So the answer to that in general is yes, because you're putting an airtight seal on it. But I cannot guarantee that eventually they won't break down under the epoxy and that the colors will stay stable. After I finish this video and I'm able to read your full question, because it doesn't let, when the comments scroll by, even though it says see more, it doesn't let me touch the screen and have the full question pop up. So I'm kind of guessing that that's your question, but you know, I've been wrong before. So I will read the whole question once we get off the live and answer it more completely. All right, I'm moving some stuff out of the way so that we can go to work bejeweling our deer skull. And flipping back the camera back down. Okay, so yesterday, if you watched this, we took the deer skull. It showed up to me white. I painted it black with set coat after cleaning it well, then applied foil adhesive. We released black and pewter foils on here, and then started bejeweling it. Okay, you have them drying out, so they will be hard. Maddie, that they will be hard. I just, like I said, I can't guarantee how well they'll hold up, especially if they're exposed to light. So that's, you know, it's not just what you preserve them in, although preserving them in, it would be like pouring them into any other epoxy where they preserve animals and bugs and stuff like that. If you do that, I would imagine it would be fine. It would hold up at least for a while. I would not put it in direct sunlight because even the epoxy is not necessarily going to be UV protective, and more than that, sunlight breaks things down in ways that are very unique. UV breaks a lot of stuff down just like it breaks our skin cells down. Okay, so let's go back to this. Let's pull some more jewels out because I used almost every last one last night. Then I got tired and stopped. Let me pull all the little ones that were under here out, because when you move things around, the little gems go everywhere. My hands are pretty stiff today, so I may move in ways that look a little awkward. It's all this snow and the rain and all of that crapola. Okay, so I have a pile of bigger gems right there. I have a pile of small gems right here. I have my tweezer that I prefer for this kind of thing or any other dabber. And I have my E6000 glue. Now let's see how well this opens today, because yesterday it gave me fits. I cleaned off the tip yesterday. That fat lot of good that did me, because it's not cleaned off today. Okay, I'm going to obviously have to go back in and clear the nozzle. If you hear any grinding sound outside, they're cleaning our street. We had a big dump of snow last night that then turned into freezing rain, so they're clearing everything so that we don't, break our necks walking down the street. So it was very, very pretty last night and very, very wet and icy this morning. Oh, come on, you stinker. I know you can come out of here. This always happens. If anybody who's got E6000 and has worked with it before knows this stuff does this. You have to kind of clear the nozzle out regularly because it likes to dry quickly. And then once you clear the nozzle, it likes to run out. So, all right, so I'm going to take some of the glue and I'm just going to smear it around here. I am not, let's put a dot here and then put one gem, tack one gem down and then put one dot and tack another one down and that way. So if you just saw what I did, you saw I kind of dipped the tip of my tweezer into the glue and then dabbed it off here. I use this as a picker. I prefer these tweezers. They fit my hand better than some of the other tools I've used. And with a little bit of glue, these are pressure tweezers, meaning that if I pinch them, they don't close. When I pinch them, they open like this. And I hate using them as tweezers, but I love them for this kind of work. So I don't have enough glue on here yet that has dried completely for it to be a good dabber this morning. But I will. And I use this exact pair of tweezers to apply 10,000 gems to a client's studio wall, or for her business, a salon. And this is, well, I had a little tray that I'd get up every morning. I'd load the tray full of gems, make sure they were all facing upright so that I could just dab them like I'm doing now from the top of the gem and place it on the surface. And then once I exhaust that whole tray, I'd come back and reload. Now, obviously, I did not flip all of these over like I did yesterday for the video, but that's not a big deal. I just knocked one under there. These are a little bigger than some of the smaller ones I've worked with that are really a pain in the neck to turn over. I mean, and I do need them all face up so that I can, if I have them face down, and I'll show you why I need them face up. If I have them face down like that, and then lift it like this, how do I put this down? I have to kind of flip it over and maneuver it, and then everything gets really messy. So I want them all right side up so that I can just touch the tip of the gem and set it into the adhesive. Okay, well, I took a big one with me on that one. I didn't need him. Not yet. Oh, I must have wiped all my adhesive off the tip of my pair of tweezers. That happens. And no, I am not depositing glue on the tips of the gems. All this does is it acts like a sticky surface, just the same as any other dabber. Now, if you've never done this before, expect it to take a little time, because you have to give yourself the time to get used to the hand motion and all of that. Plus, E6000 likes to leave cobwebs, so you have to be aware of that as well. So you're going to want to see all those little strings come flying off your glue. Don't sweat it, let them dry, and then when you're done, pull it all off. Comes off very easily when it's dry, but if it's a little damp, it's a little harder. Oops, that fell off my... So I'm going around where the horns go, or the horns. I've said that once, they're antlers. I did this with a steer too, so I had horns to do on a steer. Okay, there's some glue there. Sometimes I just go back in and feel to make sure there's no damp exposed glue that I have not applied where it needs to go. This stuff dries sort of like rubber cement, only a better bond, but it is rubbery. Almost there. Come on. I just don't want to stick on my tweezers today. nothing wants to stay stuck on my tweezers today. You can be cranky little stinkers. This one really doesn't like my oh, well. Sometimes I get one that just doesn't want to be grabbed. I leave it alone for a little while. And I know that's silly. I know it's an inanimate object. But sometimes if you've messed with something too many times, it just doesn't want to be touched. If you leave it alone, it might cool off. You can create friction and all kinds of stuff that just makes it harder to pick something up. And, you know, even my own personal frustration with it, if I leave it alone for a second or two, then come back, sometimes it'll pick up and it'll be okay. This one's really a stinker. It does not want to be grabbed, which of course is making me all the more determined to do so. Damn, this is a really crabby little gem. I've now got more glue on there than I do on the antler. Have you ever seen somebody try so hard with one stupid flat back crystal to get it on something that doesn't want to be grabbing it? Oh my God. It's like my stubbornness is just determined to get it on there, even if it falls off. Okay, you stupid thing, you're finally on there. All right, so you can see the pattern that we're going for, and this is very cool. So we're gonna have more gemming up here. I'll probably do more down the back here. We're gonna go down to the nose, down the bridge of the nose and the sides. And I think that's about it. I'm not gonna keep you on all day watching me glue gems on. I mean, after a while, it really is watching glue dry. So as I shift things, I can see in the light where things might need to be moved around. But I didn't line them up as nicely as I thought I had. And so moving these around is important because you can see things like right there. I couldn't see it before, but there is a little tiny E6000 thread of stuff that went across some jewels. So I gotta pull it out. Okay, got it done. All right, everybody. Whoops, too fast. Thank you for popping in today. I might or might not do one more live this afternoon, but I'm not really sure what my schedule is and if I come up with something, but thanks for sticking around with me. Let's enjoy the things we created today and be ready to kick this year out the door tomorrow night. All right, everybody, have a happy new year. Thank you all for popping in. Enjoy your holiday week. We're going to be in 2021 in 2 days. We can shut the door on this year and hope that 2021 brings many, many better things than this year brought. All right, everybody, thank you for everything. Thank you for all you've done with me in the last year. I cannot tell you, we wouldn't be here without you. So we appreciate all of you who watch us. Have a great time, everybody. Good night.